We are honored to showcase a passionate educator who is a certified parenting and life coach, mother of two, former teacher, and a founder of Rising a Star, in which she raises a star to give the light of psychological awareness into her community to improve women's and kids' lives in Egypt. A light so much needed in the darkness of many inherited wrong traditions and misguided information. She is Donia Adel from Egypt. Her session title is Anger and Emotions Management for Class and Home. Hello, Donia.
Hello, Anusha. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We are very excited for your presentation, and the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear, for the introduction. Loved everything. And I love how excited you are always about your guests. Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be presenting to you today. Thank you for attending and for your time. Let me share my screen with you to start. Okay. I hope you like colors because my presentation is so colorful as it talks about emotions. So here we go. Emotions. Here, as Anusha presented me, let me reintroduce myself as an intro to my presentation. So as Anusha said, I am Donia Adel from Egypt. And if you didn't visit Egypt before, I invite you to come. You should come. It's a lifetime experience you should all have. And you are free to contact me anytime to help you regarding that. So I'm certified parenting coach, parenting in life coach, mother of two, and former teacher. In my whole life, I have been fascinated by human brains, thoughts, soul, mind, and emotions. And that's especially for kids. I excelled in psychology in my high school days. And I have always wished to study psychology and languages. Those were my two big passions, besides traveling the world. But one does not always attain all his heart desires. So instead, I studied business administration, got married, had kids, and juggled jobs and fields trying to find balance between my life and passion. It was until I refound my passion again and started to study again. I studied parenting and life coaching, excelled again in my study, and got certified. Then I finished Introduction to Psychology course from Yale University, which was a great addition to my coaching experience. And then I started my new career in coaching and parenting, Raising a Star, and currently adding positive psychology to all of this. So Raising a Star, what does it mean? I was thinking that besides helping caregivers to raise their child as a star, I try, as Anusha said, to raise psychological and parenting awareness in my community to improve women's and kids' lives. My goal is to perform that mission with the highest possible standards. I have almost 70,000 followers in my social media platforms who get real information and consultation for free. So I count this a good contribution to my community. So here, I will move, and this was supposed to be my picture as my introduction. And here is my picture with my kids, my students, when I was, wait a second, I have to minimize this. Okay. So as I mentioned, I was a teacher. I worked in nurseries, kindergarten, and elementary schools, but I'm not teaching anymore. not because I couldn't handle the great physical and mental energy that teaching require, but because I couldn't handle the emotional strain I was dealing with teaching. I used to get too emotional in my day-to-day workflow. I would get emotionally involved with my students, their parents, and their life circumstances. I would bond my class student to the extent that it would break my heart that the school year ends. And for sure, I got frustrated a lot. Want to mention the low salary of the teachers. So at that time, I was I was younger than now, and thought, no, work shouldn't have emotions, especially all this amount of emotions. So I thought maybe teaching is not for me, and I left teaching. No need to mention I was wrong. And this is my topic today, about my emotions during teaching, about emotions during teaching and parenting. So ending my little story here, I will not share any more personal experience or opinion, but rather I will quote some of my past people work and put it all together in one piece. One presentation talks about emotions, parenting, and teaching. So now I start about talking about a big misconception about emotions and how they work. This misconception you often see in science fiction movies, in science fictions and movies. And here I will start quoting my first great person, Dr. Paul Bloom. You can find a lot of his work for free online, by the way, especially the Introduction to Psychology course from Yale University. It's available and it's amazing if any one of you is interested in psychology. So here, Dr. Paul gives an example of Star Trek, both the TV show and the movie, major characters, Vulcan, Spock, and Android Data, who are described as lacking emotions. So Spock lacks emotions because he is half alien, and Data lacks emotions because he doesn't have an emotion clip. These characters are described as doing it great, hyper efficient, fully functioning, excellent Starfleet agent. They just lack a little quirk or human quirk that makes them interesting. And then in some episodes, they discover emotions or get emotions, and it changes everything. So the main assumption of the show here is that you don't need emotions to do 99% of the things. And this is entirely mistaken. This is scientifically proven to be entirely mistaken. Emotions are fundamental to human life. We don't see them anymore as a noise in the machine, as things that sway you from doing or getting it right, or as enemies of rationality and morality, but rather as a basic tool of survival. They are there for a reason. And here comes a very obvious question. Why do we need emotions? What they are useful for, and why can't we just talk only rational or reason? And actually we can't. This is not possible because emotions are used, and here I should, okay. Emotions are used to make sense of the reason. Emotions are not the enemies of the reason, but rather are a crucial part of it. They interact with information processing and evaluation when making decisions. So emotions help us to screen, organize, and prioritize the information around us. And let me explain this part a little more because it will make more sense when it's with example. So one illustration of this is coming from behavioral economics called ultimatum game. And in this game, let me introduce you my friends here. In this game, this is how the game works. You have two characters, okay? A and B. And A should be given amount of money, let's say $10, and is asked how much you would like to share with B. Any amount A desires from $1 to $10. But B now has the option, either accept whatever A offering or reject. But if B rejects, no one gets anything. No one will get anything. So, and this is one-time game. So you cannot punish people to behave better in the future. So if we are perfectly rational, so A should offer $1, the minimum, $1, and keep the $9 for himself. And B, rationally, should accept the $1 because $1 is better than nothing. So now I would like to ask you, what do you think people decided? You can drop your suggestions or guessing in the chat box. What do you think? Okay. Anyone wants to participate? Okay. Okay, so let me tell you. Interestingly, that even for one-shot game, people don't accept. They rejected the unfair distribution. So mostly whoever played that game in the labs, B rejected the $1. They refused to accept the unfair distribution out of spite and disgust. What made them do that? It's their emotions directed them to reject the pure rational choice, to honor something like justice. So sometimes our emotions guide us to act in a way, in some formal sense, irrational, but in the practical sense, are actually beneficial and most likely beneficial for the well-being of the group, not us. So I hope this made it a little bit more clearer how emotions help making sense of the reasons, and that we cannot just use a reason without emotions. So this is number one, emotions make sense of the reason. So number two is setting goals and priorities. And this is an easy one. Like me being stressed about my presentation to you today made me start working on it early enough to be ready now. So setting goals and priorities is a very important part of why we need emotions. So this is number two. Number three is emotions are complex motivational system aimed to solve problems. Emotions provide immediate punishment or reinforcement of the behavior. So emotions are very complex motivational systems that we humans have. And not just human, all creatures. But so this is number three. Number four, and this is one I personally like, that emotions are signals. They are trustworthy signals that other people could take account of. They are designed, made to be trustworthy. And it's scientifically proven that genuine emotions have or involve changes in the face and in the body with certain intensity that is hard to fake except for professional actors. So being signals, trustworthy signals, it talks to our gut feeling. Okay, so number 4, emotions are signals. Of course, I cannot sum up all why we have emotions, but I try to pick the most significant why that serve our session today. So here comes number 5, that emotions are survival tools. Charles Darwin was the first or one of the earliest researchers to scientifically study emotions. He believed that emotions are adaptation. They are adaptations that allow both human and animals to survive and reproduce. So he suggested that emotional display could also play an important role in our safety and survival. So if you witnessed or encountered a hissing or spitting animal, it would be clearly indicate that the animal is angry or defensive, which lead you to back off and flee to your safety or make you avoid possible danger. So emotions prepare your body to take actions. The amygdala in particular is responsible for triggering emotional responses that prepare your body to cope with things like fear and anger. And fear and anger trigger the fight or flight mood responses in the body, which leads to a lot of physiological responses that prepare your body to either stay and face the danger, this is in case of anger, or flee to safety in case of flight or fear response. So emotions actually prepare your body or serve as an adaptive rule by preparing your body to act quickly and take decisions that will maximize your chances of survival and success, that if you used your rational brain to think and take decisions about it, you will be lost. So number 5 here is emotions are survival tools. So what else? Emotions, number 6 here is that emotions guide our behavior. Emotions do not exist by themselves, like they do, as if they don't have a purpose or something, but actually they work in harmony with our basic human need or needs. So each one of us uses emotions, whether consciously or unconsciously, and this is the purpose of our session today. One of the purposes of our session today is to use emotions consciously for a better, for the better of everyone, whether you or people around you. And we will work with the anger example. So emotions guide our behavior towards or away from positive or negative incentives. So combining the last 2 points I was talking about, that is emotions has physiological sensation that produce behavior. This is one of them, and that emotions are expression of needs. So emotions are expression of need, and they produce behavior and changes the body physiology. Combining those 2 points together lead to our understanding that each behavior, and here I need to change my slide to be, okay, so lead to understanding this iceberg, that each emotion has, each behavior has emotions or emotion behind it, and each emotion has a need behind it, or a unmet need behind it. So understanding that will lead us to understand that people behavior, our kids' behavior, our student behavior has nothing to do with us, has nothing to do about disrespecting or challenging us. It's about their emotions and their unmet need. So, and say for us, our behaviors is not caused by their action, is not caused by their commitment or not. And it's not caused by them following our instructions or not. It's about our internal unmet needs. It's about our internal emotions. And here, to sum up, before moving to the next point, to sum up the previous things I have been talking about, that we say that all emotions matter because they are all are data. They are all positive, even if they feel uncomfortable, because some people think that something like anger or sadness or jealousy are negative emotions. No, they are not negative emotions. There's no negative emotions. All emotions are positive, but there's some comfortable ones and some uncomfortable ones. So all emotions are positive, even if they feel uncomfortable, because they express our needs. Another part we understand here is that emotions drive people and people drive performance. And in class and at home, at work, we are mostly, our evaluation, our environment and systems are mainly concerned about performance. And as I was thinking when I was teaching, that performance has nothing to do with emotions, but this is actually not right. So, and when we understand that, here we move to the next slide. I'm here going to quote Dr. Gabor Mate, another best person. We get out of the dominant response. We have more understanding, and we get out of the judgment and have more compassion. We get out of the dominant response of let's control the behavior. Seeing the problem is the behavior. Actually, the behavior is the end product. So seeing the problem is the behavior itself. Let's fix the behavior, let's control the behavior, let's fix the kid, let's fix the student. And here, Dr. Gabor, we say we respond to the form of the message rather than the content of it. We have to understand that kids are acting out because they cannot or not allowed to express themselves. Because when they can't express their needs, they have to act it out, even the word itself, like acting out. So, and also we will understand that it's when it's a big feeling, it means that it's important need. So, to sum up what I have said again, that all emotions are real, all emotions are accepted, all emotions are signals, are messages, are symptoms, are important and vital for us and for our kids' survival. And sometimes it's a call for help. So if we are in class and see that behavior and understand that there is a big emotion, understand it, and that emotion is a message and maybe it's a call for help, I will not get mad at my son or at my student or just judge their behavior, but rather I maybe have some empathy and try to help regarding that. So, and having that empathy make us understand that correcting the behavior without the connection first will not help. It will only suppress the emotion, and the need will be acted out in different behavioral struggle. So behavior is coming from emotion, and emotion need connection. So here we will get back again to Dr. Gabor Mati, but here I will move to another important part about thing about emotion, that emotions are very sensitive to culture. They are beautifully crafted to deal with these natural and social environment and that we live in. And here is the question, how it is shaped or affected by culture. So although there are universal roots for emotions, like universal emotions that we all human, no matter where you are or where you're from, have in common, but our emotions are shaped by our cultural context. Like depending on who you are and where you live and how you were raised, your emotions will respond differently. So how still the question how it is shaped or affected by environment and culture, I would say that we are the environment and the culture of our children. We are the culture maker, and we are their parents, their teachers, their neighbors, their extended family, their friends. We are their environment. So we affect their emotions. We are mapping their emotions. So let me explain that more using the anger emotion, okay? Because we face a lot of anger these days in the world and at schools and at home. And here is the anger iceberg. We see the anger big there above the water, and there's other different emotions under it. Anger is a loud emotion. It's easy to see. But how do we affect the shaping the anger emotion and its expression and its aggressiveness in our children or in our environment or culture? So I cannot, of course, explain all of how we shape anger expression, but I will give an example that will make it clearer for you to understand. So in some families and culture, for example, for boys, it is seen as anger is seen as more acceptable emotions for boys than the other emotions like fear, embarrassment, or jealousy. Like a man can't cry, a man cannot feel helpless, a man should not be scared. So, but a man can get mad and a man can get angry. So a little boy from the very early age may express anger to mask other emotions that make them feel vulnerable, because he is not allowed to feel or look vulnerable. And the same example for girls. Girls, sadness and its physical expression or physiological expression of crying is more accepted for girls than anger. So you can see a lot of adult females expressing most of their vulnerable emotions in sadness or in crying, even the anger emotion. Anger should be a strong, loud emotion that prepare her to stand up for herself and to defend herself and to defend her limits. But instead, she cried. This is totally different emotions and totally different expression. So our acceptance or rejection for the emotions, for our kids' emotions and our student emotions, and how they express it, shapes a child map of emotions. This is how emotions are directly affected by the environment. Denying them to have an emotion and express certain emotions, because we think these emotions are shouldn't be felt or shouldn't be expressed or should be hidden. Teaches them to hide their emotions and suppressing their authenticity and suppressing the need to get the acceptance of us as parents or teachers and as a society. And here I give back to Dr. Gabor Mate, saying, calling this as alienation. So alienation from their true self. And he here say we live in a culture that doesn't meet human needs. And when we don't meet human needs, they have to adapt. They need to adapt in artificial ways. And those adaptations become the source of illness later. And it's the same for us. And I keep moving from us to our children because actually it's the same case. There's no difference. We are both human. So getting back to us, the stressed adults, the stressed parents and teachers, our anger is not triggered by those little kids. The real trigger is done by hiding our emotions and suppressing our needs and our unmet needs. So it's a mask for our anger, and our kids' anger is a mask for other unvalidated emotions or unmet needs. So now comes the big question, but let me have some water. So how do I keep from being triggered? And here you will find I use a lot of pictures from Inside Out. This is great movie for teaching kids the basics of emotional awareness. So I recommend every one of you to watch it. So how do I keep from being triggered? I'm in class. If I knew that information maybe a few years ago, maybe I wouldn't quit teaching. So how do I keep from being triggered? Okay, here I am trying to summarize a work that I do with my clients in several weeks and few points. So as I have explained in the last 30 minutes, emotions are complex, important, and vital. How to deal with emotions? The only way to deal with the complexity of emotions is to pay attention to what is really happening and how our emotions are filters to what is happening inside and outside us. So here I prepared 3 points that will help you a lot with keeping yourself from being triggered. And I will give tools for each one of them. So now we will start with the awareness. And by awareness, I mean emotional awareness. And emotional awareness means, the definition of it means knowing when the feelings are present in ourselves and in others. This is the first step, by the way, of the emotional intelligence. So knowing when the feelings are present in ourselves and in others, and it is closely related to emotional literacy, which mean being able to label or name the feeling with a specific word or name. And it's in its highest level is being able to predict the emotion in advance, but this is not our case today. This is a high level of emotional awareness. So getting back to emotional literacy, the ABCs of emotional literacy is naming the emotion and identifying the need behind it. This is the ABCs. for us and for the kids, by the way. So here I move to my next person that I will quote, Dr. Daniel Siegel, and his name it to tame it technique. This technique was first introduced by Dr. Daniel Siegel, which involves noticing and labeling the emotions as they are happening. And it explains that identifying an intense emotion, which means naming it, has an effect of reducing the stress and anxiety and intensity of the emotions, which means taming it in the brain and the body too, which the emotion is causing. We said that emotion has a physiological effect on our body. So it make in the moment relief, but in addition to in the moment relief, this practice strengthen our capacity to be with over time, to be with the intense emotions or the big emotions when they arise without getting swept in them or without being hijacked by them. So name it to tame it, the ABCs, the basics of emotional awareness is to be able to know the name of the emotion and identify the need behind it. And here I use a great tool to teach my clients the basics of naming their emotions, which is the emotions wheel here. So the emotions wheel, very important and basic tool in your journey in learning the language of emotions. You will find a lot of resources and a lot of printables of the emotion wheel and a lot of free videos that explain the meaning of it and how to use it online. So just search the emotion or feeling wheel if you are interested, and you will find a lot of resources. You will get a lot of information. So this is our first way of or step of how to keep from being triggered. And here the next one is presence. And presence means or comes when you invite presence into your life in the ordinary situations, when you are not being triggered or challenged, by observing yourself with both curiosity and attention. You start observing your emotions. Remember, at the first step, we are able we are aware, we became aware of our emotions. So now we are aware that emotions are present, but we now noticing it, being present with it in curiosity and attention, and observing it, so we can gradually move to observing our body physiology changes, thoughts, and behavioral patterns. So presence will not immediately prevent your next aggressive episode or emotional outburst, but it will allow you to recognize it at the moment or just after it. And then gradually you grow presence, you grow your awareness, and you recognize timing to your emotions. Your recognition timing of your emotions improve, and improve, like, I mean, it's you catch your emotion earlier and earlier before it hijacks your rational brain, and then you can stop your not emotion but behavior before it becomes a problem. So We use a presence concept to focus on the emotion or emotions, detecting it at the moment and evaluating our needs and the behaviors based on it. So I use for the presence, there's a perfect tool I use with my clients, and this is my second gift for you today, is the weekly mood chart. So here, this is the weekly mood chart. I use this with my kids, with my clients, and with my kids. I will show you some more tools at the end of the session for the children that can be used at home or at class. So here, this is a weekly mood chart where my clients use, I use with my clients to track their mood or emotions so they can grow presence, so they shift their attention from the outside to the inside. So here I will end the presence point by quoting Eckhart Tolle, the great one about presence, the best one to talk about presence. Be aware that what you think, to a large extent, creates the emotions that you feel. See the link between your thinking and your emotions. Rather than being your thoughts and emotions, be the awareness behind them. You can search his talks about presence. It will teach you a lot. As I said, I'm just collecting and quoting the great people and put them together for you so you can have better access to resources and educators, and that will help you managing and learning about your emotions and your student or kids' emotions. So the third point from keeping us from being triggered is response. And in response, I mean response versus reaction. And this is the goal, by the way, of all this. This is the goal of learning about emotions. It's response instead of react. The difference between response and react is that reaction is instant. It's driven by the beliefs and the biases and the prejudges and of the unconscious mind. When you say or do something without thinking, this is the unconscious mind running just the show. It's not your conscious or a rational brain. A reaction is based on the moment. It doesn't take into consideration the long-term consequences or the long-term effects. Response is a survival tool. It's survival oriented. It's a defense. In some levels, it's a defense mechanism that sometimes reacting is. I don't know if I have been saying response or instead of react, but this is reacting what I'm talking about. So reacting is sometimes turn out okay, but most likely we regret later. So response, on the other hand, comes more slowly. It's based on information from both conscious and unconscious mind. Response take into consideration the well-being of us and the people around us. It weighs the long-term consequences or effect, and it's working in harmony with our core values. So being present and aware and able to catch our emotions before it turns into behavior is allowing us to respond instead of react. So one track here that is important, we don't encourage a reaction, but encourage a response but we don't stop the emotions, but by suppressing it, but by in response, we are allowed to express our anger or our intense emotion without it being aggressive. Like, this is what we teach in parenting. When I teach mothers how in parenting, I say all emotions are okay. The kids are allowed to express any emotions. So he can express, or they can express the emotions, because all emotions okay, but not all behaviors okay. So the response, instead of react, is not based or meant to suppress the emotion, but to express the emotion without the aggressive behavior. So let me sum that up. Reactions tend to be like something happened, you react, and then proceed, and most likely regret. Response are more like something happened, you pause, process, respond, and then proceed. This is the difference. But here you may think that seems challenging. Pausing while I am emotional, how would I be able to do that? This is like really challenging one. So here comes the coping skills. Our next gift for today is the coping skills importance. When the intense emotions, when we have intense emotions, our brain like falls out, act stupid, or make bad decisions, and that's normal. So because the rational part, the prefrontal cortex of our brain shuts down, and because it doesn't want the complex thinking to get in the way of survival. You remember I told you that emotions are mainly survival tool. So if I take time to make some complex thoughts, maybe I would be in danger. So what we need is to slow things down so they can move through the uncomfortable situations and respond. And here comes the coping skills. Coping skills are techniques or tactics that people use to deal with the stressful situations, to get out of the emotional brain and get back to the rational brain. And this makes us feel better physically and psychologically, and impact our ability to perform better. So what are the coping skills? There is still a lot online for free, but I will mention some of it. Listening to music, smelling fresh air, taking a walk, feeling or touching comfortable texture, smelling nice smell. I was stressed about my presentation today, so I have my fragrance with me to smell it to feel calmer. So taking a shower, using water by any way, exercise, doing something with your hands can be considered as a coping skill, using your senses in general sense. Journaling, meditating, prayer, breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, self-care activities, cleaning, hugging, or playing with a pet or loved one. This is all a coping skills. But there is a very important part here, that coping skills are for short-term calming persons. It should be followed by problem solving techniques. I will finish. I think I have finished my time, but I have to show you the same tools for kids. You can find all of this online too. This is an emotion wheel for kids. It can improve their vocabulary for emotions and linking the emotion name with the facial expression. And here is a Anger, a very nice activity for the class is the anger balloon, where anger balloon serves as an anger meter for kids, teaches them in tangible way about the escalation of their anger. So they can link it insidely with their anger meter. So here another anger technique for kids is teaching them about self-expression and emotion expression using the I statement. And this is very, very great for class 2. And here, some coping skills wheel for kids that can also be used both in class and at home. So I will end my presentation today by Dr. Gabor Mate. And he is saying, let me read this. If we really want to discipline kids, we actually have to make them disciples, our disciples. Disciples are not someone afraid of you. Disciples is someone who loves you, belongs to you, and follows you. Because we, as parents and adults and teachers, think that our part is coming from the fact we have responsibility and strength and wisdom. But it doesn't come from that. It comes from the desire of the child to belong to you and love you. So discipline is the very opposite of punishment. Discipline related to connection, love, empathy, and those are emotions. Punishment related to dominance, and this is behavior. Thank you so much. I am done.
Thank you so much, Donia. Thank you very, very much for your session, Anger and Emotions Management for Class and Home. I mean, it was really inspiring that you sharing awareness about emotions and how it affects our behavior as a teacher, a parent, or a student, and also showing us some management techniques as well. That was really, really nice of you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions for Donia, please register your queries in the chat box, or you may direct your questions to Donia herself by unmuting yourself. The stage is yours. Thank you. We do have one query, I believe. Inspiring session. Thank you, Donia. That's brava. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do unmute yourself. And Nirvana says, thumbs up, Donia. Okay, please do unmute yourself, ladies and gentlemen. We do have, yes.
Yeah, I would like to thank Donia for her presentation. I really love it so much. I like the chart at the end of before the, like the end slide, I think before the last one. And I'm a teacher, kindergarten teacher, and I do use this in my class. And this really worked to start the day with asking the kids about their feeling. This helped us. Maybe they have bad day, bad morning, bad sleep. So this helped the teachers to control their emotion and her emotion as well. Thank you, Donia, so much. I really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you, Anusha. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirvana. Thank you for sharing your queries with us and your feedback. Thank you so much. And Noha Abukuram writes, she is from Egypt as well. She writes, thanks a lot, Donia. Well done. If you have any more questions for Donia, ladies and gentlemen, please, this is the time to unmute yourself. The stage is yours. Just ask away, and Donia will be there to answer for you. If not, we will be showcasing her recording on our platform, educationinfluence.com, and we will be sending you a detailed email very, very soon. Okay, Donia, here comes the questions. Donia, can you share some inventories to share with parents to understand themselves to handle kids apart from the emotional wheel and other stuff?
Okay.
And Donia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would like to remind you have 7 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So maybe I don't have something present instantly in my mind now, but you can take the main basic idea and find about it on the internet. Like the first step, it has to be, no matter what is the person, whether it's kid, parent, teacher, whatever, the first step is to know the ABCs of the emotions. I have to know what is the name of the emotion. This is number one. You cannot deal with something that you don't even, you are not even able to name it. So naming the emotion is the first step. I have to work with anyone about the ABCs of the naming, and then the need. So just maybe letting them understand the idea, this idea, it puts them or it makes them more interested to learn more. So I think the first thing, whether you use the wheel or not, is being able to name the emotion and identify the need.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Donia. Prabha, are you clear with your answer? If not, you're requested to
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Prabha. Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to share their queries and questions to Donia? She will answer all your queries. She has 5 minutes. Jyoti Gupta says thank you. Anybody else would like to? Anybody else would like to share their questions for Donia before we say goodbye to her? Muhammad Warren writes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please do mention where you're tuning in from. Hello, Muhammad, where are you tuning in from? Thank you. Egypt. Oh, he's from Egypt too. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Muhammad.
You are growing audience from Egypt now.
We are. I mean, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Okay,
I would like to say for you, Anusha, thank you, because Noreen, my daughter, is following you and love your stories. So the same goes for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Lots and lots and lots and love for Noreen. And I really feel that she might be looking at the recordings, and sometimes I mention her name and some other kids that they do tune in, and I feel like if they hear their name and they would like, oh, that's me, she said my name.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for participating in Education Influence Global Conference. Thank you very much. And Shimu Chimba Vincent also writes, thank you for the session, Donia. Hi, Shimu Chimba. How are you? Where are you tuning in from? If it's possible for you to type or mute yourself, we do have 4 more minutes.
Hey, Donia. Been listening in. It's Shimu Chimba Vincent from Zambia, Africa.
Thank you. Thank you. I love Zambia. Sure. I have been told a lot about it.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Simba. Thank you very much. Lots and lots and lots and love for the Zambia. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Donia, for your presentation. And now, thank you very, very much.